Welcome to the Lake Forest Podcast, a podcast about the lovely city of Lake Forest, featuring topics like local news, sports, music, people, and food. My name is Pete, and I also live in Lake Forest. Hey, we got a sponsor for the show, NeuroNoodle. Hey, parents of athletes or even performers, your kids get a physical every year, right? Well, include a brain map so you have a baseline to compare it to in case something happens. It only takes 20 minutes to get the data you need to have peace of mind and know if your athlete or performer should get back on the field or stage. Neuronoodle.com. Okay, one of the things we like to do here at the Lake Forest Podcast is to put a spotlight on our local businesses, and this is a good one. We're joined today by the co-founders of the Performers School, Stacey Flaster and Liz Fauntleroy. Ladies, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having us.
Okay, number one, we got a lot of new people moving into the area. I've been here 3 years. I normally have my co-host Scoo Walker on, but he's out doing something in the community. He's been around 57 years, so I'm at a disadvantage, so I need help. Tell me about the Performers School to a new family that's coming in. Just give a quick background, and then we'd love to hear more about you guys as individuals.
Great. So the Performers School has been in existence in Highwood, which is a quick 5-minute drive over this way from me. I actually live Highwood is right over this direction, about 5 minutes from me, even less. And I live right next to Lake Forest. We've been in existence since 2013, is it, Liz? Time flies.
2013, 8 years.
So Liz and I started out doing some, Liz was teaching voice and I was doing some acting coaching and I was directing professionally and doing choreography professionally. And Liz called me up on the phone and said, hey, do you have teaching kids? And started sending me students. And then Liz and I started doing these audition workshops for kids. And it snowballed into a school. So we started this school for kids. And basically, we do full-blown musicals. Right now, Liz and I are doing, now forget about the pandemic. Let's just put that aside for a second and pretend that didn't happen. And before that, Liz and I were doing collectively 3 shows a year. 2 of them were 6th through 8th graders at the Skokie Theater. So first semester we would do 1 big musical, second semester we'd do another one, and then we would do a show at Ravinia at Bennett Gordon Hall. Wells Kaufman, who used to be the artistic director over there, called us up one day 6 years ago and said, hey, we want you guys to do a show here. And so we were co-producing a show every year there, and we're doing one this year in March. So we would do 3 big shows a year. And then we added another group to our roster, and we were doing 2 more shows for 4th and 5th graders. So that collectively gave us 5 shows a year that we were doing through the Performers School. So basically we do shows, and Liz and I are both equity actors, and I'm a union director. And Liz is also in another union. She's in the AGMA, so she's in the opera union. It's not really the opera union, but she can explain that if we get to it. But we do our shows the way we do union shows. I mean, we run them, and don't let that scare you, but we run them like, we run a union show. We have full costumes, full sets, full light, sound, and the kids get a great theatrical experience working with us. And we also have a great time. We love it. So Liz, do you want to pick?
I want to add something about that. Like these groups that we have, the first one is called the Troop, and that's the 4th and 5th grade group. And the Ensemble is the 6th or 8th grade group. And, what they are audition only groups. And, sometimes we can get, 90 kids to audition for like a 30, person group. But I don't want that to discourage people, because I think that, we just don't, get kids in these groups that are professional kids who know what they're doing. We do have a group of kids that go to our school that perform with us that have worked at the Marriott, at Drury Lane, at Shakespeare downtown. But we really like a mix of kids who just love to sing and are talented with these other kids so that they can all learn from one another. It's really, really important to us. This is not a professional group. We just feel like we're kind of like a step above, groups. And so we want to give them an experience that is unique, to any other theater. And just having 2 shows in December in the Skokie Theater and 2 shows in May with both of these groups. And then, as Stacey said, our Ravinia, we would be going on our 5th show at Ravinia, which is slated for March 12th and 13th of next year. So we are on their schedule, fingers crossed.
Yeah, and one more thing about this, as Liz was saying, it is a step up in terms of a program for kids that feels professional without it being a professional theater. Because we come from the professional theater, our program feels like a professional theater, except you have to pay to be in it because it's training. But other than that, it feels like you're doing a professional show. We bring in professional choreographers. Liz and I are professionals. We bring in a professional accompanist for all of our music. We bring in guest artists to work with the kids. And so everybody that comes in is from our world, which is the professional world. So we really want to give them that experience. And it fills this void with this age group, especially middle schoolers, that really need and are hungry for something to do that feels theatrical. When they get to high school, they have enough to do. Well, they're always begging us to do more stuff, which, the Ravinia shows they can be in. But they're always like, can you do another show? And then they come back and visit us. But it fills this void for those middle schoolers. And so we kept aging down. So we needed a program to feed into the middle school, which is why we added the 4th and 5th grade. But this program is really successful. As Liz said, we had after the pandemic, it was like people were born during 2020. And we had this resurgence of kids auditioning for us during the pandemic. We had like 40 more kids than usual audition on top of the 60 that auditioned. So it was giant, this new, after 2020. So we have we're starting off the new year live again. So our fingers are crossed.
Yeah. We feel very fortunate, to be in that position, really fortunate, when you come from a pandemic. Well, we were alive through the pandemic, and that was a whole different, theatrical experience that we did. But, we just feel like to keep the school alive and running, we've been very lucky with all these theaters shutting down and Broadway shutting down. We just wanted to keep our kids involved in an artistic way in some way, instead of having them sit at home and, not be able to perform or sing and be depressed. It's like, we have to figure out a different medium during COVID that will keep these kids active in our school.
Yeah.
Now you guys are in Highwood, so you're very close. Okay. I know it's a Lake Forest podcast, but people they'll go a couple miles, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We have Lake Forest kids too.
Yeah.
A lot of Lake Forest kids.
Yeah. Speak to me, because like if a kid's going to Deer Path or St. Mary's and whatnot, I'm still getting the schools down here.
Oh yeah.
What do you offer for them? So the mom's listening to this show and you're like, my kid would benefit from that. Because shy kids, getting them on the stage and memorizing something. I mean, that adds a lot to their future prospects. Tell me how that would work, how your school will work. Anybody?
Do you want me to start, Liz?
Yeah, go ahead.
So we do have kids from St. Mary's and Deer Path, and I could list them because we know who they are. We get so used to where they're from and who they are.
Right.
I mean, I don't want to name names now.
No.
But I won't name names, Pete. But what the program does is it supplements all those things. So Liz and I feel very strongly that we want our students to be in their school plays. In addition to, we're not saying that they should do our program and that should take them out of, you do our program, you sign our contract, you pay us, and then you can't do anything else. We're very supportive of the kids doing their school plays and all their sports and all their other things. We really want to keep them well-rounded. Being an actor doesn't mean you're only an actor. You should do a lot of things. When you watch commercials, kids are doing soccer. I mean, you can't, you know what I'm saying? Like they're eating soup,
right.
So we support that. And also for the kids that are shy or that you say memorizing lines, I really feel that we're special in that our training, and Liz will speak to this more because she's very good at it, is very nurturing and non-threatening. And I feel I've been directing professionally and with Liz for how many years? I don't know, since 2013, and I'm bad at math. We're very good at working with kids on their confidence and trying to get them feeling good about themselves without using threats or screaming or yelling or whatever, because we know we know how to do it. So we don't need to be insecure with our own selves.
Right.
And we can help them with that, because everyone has to start somewhere. Nobody's born knowing how to memorize lines and execute them. So that's what our job.
I will say, you know, and that there are schools in the area that just because our students have told us that do kind of fear-based teaching and, you know, making children not feel great about how they're performing to get a certain product from them. And we just don't agree with that. I just feel like children need to be encouraged. They need constructive direction, and so that they learn and feel good about themselves, because, you know, we've been performing our whole lives and no one performs well if they feel under stress or that they're being criticized. And so we want a really nurturing, loving environment where the kids are learning at a top level, but they feel valued and supported.
And I know Liz can answer to this because we both worked in the professional world. Anytime a director started yelling, it was always about themselves being insecure, not knowing what to do. It wasn't about the kid or the person or the actor. It's because I don't know how to do this scene. I can't figure it out. This actor is not giving me what I want. The director needs to figure out what to do, not the actor. The actor is the actor. The kid is the kid. They are the vessel, and I need to figure out how to work with them.
The fortunate thing about, you know, Pete, like you were talking about where our school is located, is that we've been fortunate that a lot of our kids come from all different areas from Chicago. We've actually had kids come from Wisconsin to do our workshops, Hinsdale, Naperville, they're all over. And it's mainly by word of mouth. So we've been very fortunate about that. And we love having kids from Libertyville, Barrington, you know, they all come from different areas and they become like a family. And that's really awesome. I love that, you know, we get the kids all together on the first day and they all say where they're from. It's like, wow, you know, we have like 15 different suburbs here. It's really great. It's great.
Now, is there, what's the difference between the programs and the I don't know if expectations is the right word, but you have grade school versus high school. Do you separate the two, or how does that work?
I'll just speak briefly and I'll let Liz answer this more. The troop, which is the 4th and 5th grade group, and we're actually allowing some 3rd grade in there now because the pandemic kind of messed up the timing of the groups because we lost a year. So the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade troop is just that age group, and it's less hours, and the training is a little bit different. And that's, you know, that meets in all the information about the hours is on the website, but it's less hours and it's structured a little differently. And they still do a full show, etc. But there's less shows and it's a little bit, it's still, you know, the good training, but it's just less time because their attention span is different. The ensemble program that Liz and I do is more hours per week. It's 8 hours a week versus 4. And there's more training. There's a little more expectation because it's an older age group. It's that, you know, it's that 6th, 7th, and 8th junior high group. We give them a little more freedom. You know, they're allowed to get ice cream. You know, they're allowed to go get coffee. You know, there's boundaries, but there's a little more freedom as well. And then we bring in some guest artists. We do a little more of that. We take them to see a show. And there's more performances. So there's just a little difference there. And then, Liz, I'll let you speak about crew and the Ravinia stuff.
Yeah, the Ravinia tends to be, depends on the show though, we get more high school level. And I think that, you know, once a lot of these kids have graduated from our program, it's nice to bring them back in some capacity. So, and it's not just the kids who've done things with us. We get kids auditioning from all different high schools that we've never met before. So you know, the Ravinia seems to be a little bit of an older group, but if it's something like Cinderella, where you need some younger kids, then we will use like a few 6th through 8th graders. I also want to mention that we did have a 3rd and 4th grade class, which was a musical theater class. So not everything is audition only, and that was great. They could just sign up and be it. And we'd love to have that again, where there's just a class for that age group that they can just go and learn and not feel like they have to audition to be in it.
Yeah, we're going to probably, Pete, we're going to probably be slowly adding more classes back to our schedule. But because of last year, we did some Zoom classes that were really successful for the younger age group. And we did some workshops. We'll be probably adding more of those to our schedule as the year goes on. We just want to feel out how this goes before we start adding more classes to the schedule again, because, you know, we just don't know. We want to wait and see how everything turns out with these 2 groups. And we have such a large turnout that we just want to, you know, feel it out. And then we'll probably slowly be adding workshops. And we brought in like Abby Mueller, you know, who is on Broadway with Beautiful, and she's in the musical 6 on Broadway. We bring in Sam Samuelson, who's an agent at Stewart Talent. He's the lead agent there. We bring in people like Becky Menzie, who's a cabaret artist. Artistic directors of theaters, and Rick Boynton, who's the artistic director at Chicago Shakespeare Theater, and Peter Marston Sullivan, who's the associate artistic director of the Marriott. We just bring in people that the kids can be exposed to, and that could learn from them, and they give different perspectives. But so far, Liz and I have been very impressed with how kind these people are that we bring in too, because we're very careful about exposing our kids to other people, because we want to make sure that they don't get the wrong feedback. You know, we protect them.
Now, my experience with acting, not me personally, I was into sports, and I have a son growing up. He's obviously older now, but I tried to get him into sports. He did it. And then when he got into his awkward years, like freshman year of high school, he didn't want to do sports. Very shy, anxious. And he got into the acting program at his high school, and he started to come out of his shell, and he was in a play, and he seemed more sociable and whatnot. Can you speak to the parents out there that might have a similar situation, how your school and acting can help these kids in their awkward years come out of their shell?
Absolutely. I mean, I think whether you're performing or just taking classes in the arts, it doesn't mean you're going to be going into it and having a career with it. It helps with your self-confidence. And, you know, privately, aside from the school, Stacey's an acting coach, and I'm a voice teacher. I've been a voice teacher for 20 years. We do it separately from the school, but I have found that teaching kids and adults voice, it doesn't mean that they're going to have a career, but, you know, if they're going to go in and even have a job in a business, in a corporation, we've taught them to feel comfortable in their own skin and be able to stand up, whether it's singing or giving, you know, a talk or a presentation. It doesn't matter what they go into. I think being in the arts and having enough guts to stand there and try to perform will give them every kind of confidence they need in their life. So that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, a lot of our students aren't necessarily going into acting, I've noticed.
Yes.
And a lot of our students who we thought were going to go into musical theater are going into straight acting. Some of our, actually a couple of the kids from Lake Forest that I work with, that Liz and I worked with, and I worked with on college stuff. Because some of these kids work with us on college auditions, which is another whole big thing. You know, they love musical theater, but they don't necessarily need to study it in college to do it later. You know, you don't necessarily need to spend the 4 years doing what you end up doing out of college, which we all know. You know, you could study anything. And you can't not study medicine and be a doctor, obviously.
Right.
But don't you find like some kids in high school, they love the arts, they love performing in the school musical, and it doesn't mean that they're going to be on Broadway someday. Maybe they discover that they want to set design, or maybe they want to stage manage it, maybe, or be a costumer. They're in it, and they're all of a sudden learning these skills and thinking, wow, this is really cool. It doesn't mean I'm going to be a singer. So that's a great thing to watch, is that some of these kids go into all different areas of the theater. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I noticed my kid, his study skills improved because he could memorize the lines. I thought that was another benefit.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. Because Pete, the thing about memorizing is that you have to internalize what you're memorizing. You can't just go get the words, because when you do it for a performance, you can't just where you're studying history or whatever, and you're like, I have to memorize this. Remember, in school, when you memorize something and you cram it, it leaves your brain the minute you're done. When you're memorizing for Shakespeare monologue, you can't just cram it, because you'll never remember it for the audition. You have to internalize it emotionally, or else that's not acting. Can't cram memorizing lines.
Yeah.
Or else you'll have actor's nightmare, which is that you forget your lines on stage, which I've done before.
Well, and you gotta ad lib, and I mean, ad lib.
We've done that.
It's not fun.
I forgot an entire song once, but that was just in cramming. I just completely blanked out.
Which reminds me, Second City was a good thing to get my kid into as well. That's another
100%
improv.
I would say, besides the performer school, you must do improv, and that's why Liz and I, one of the people that we bring in, this guy named Joe Dempsey, who's from Second City, who Liz and I just absolutely adore. He's this fabulous improv artist. The kids love him. He's very strict. But he's fantastic. And one of the most important things, I think, besides voice training, is improv. And then obviously our musicals.
Well, life is improv, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
Now you guys have some serious skins on the walls. Why don't you guys tell us some of the stuff that you've done out in the professional world? I mean, you've done some. Did I see Chance the Rapper up there? Did I see Nickelodeon? Yeah. What am I?
Well, I'll tell you really quickly, and then Liz can tell you her wonderful accomplishments. First I was an actor, which is how I met Liz. I did shows at Drury Lane and Marriott and Candlelight Dinner Playhouse when it existed years and years ago. And then I did the national tour of Showboat. And then I decided I retired from acting. I did some voiceover and stuff and commercials, and I retired from that, and I went into professional choreography. And then I started directing professionally, and I did a bunch of shows. I did Joseph at Paramount and Route 66, and directed some stuff at Theater at the Center, Godspell, Jesus Christ Superstar, A Wonderful Life, a ton of stuff over there. And then I started in a bunch of other regional theaters. And then I started getting hired to do commercial choreography. And so I did a couple episodes of The Patriot, a show called Sirens. I choreographed a Lunchables commercial and a bunch of other commercials. And then I got this call right in February of 2020, right before the pandemic, that a rapper is doing a Nickelodeon commercial, and would I come in and teach the Renegade, which is a TikTok dance. I said, out of everybody in Chicago, every cool person, you want a 49-year-old person to teach a rapper the Renegade. And so then I had to quickly have my daughter teach it to me. And then I find out it's Chance the Rapper. So I crammed, as I just talked about, the Renegade, learned it, and I worked with a hip hop teacher. And then I got a cute outfit at Target. And the next day I went and I taught Chance the Rapper the Renegade. It was thrilling. It was wonderful. He said not only did he learn the Renegade, but he also said he knew the writer of the song and knew the person who invented it. I'm like, why didn't he just learn it from the writer or the inventor? But he learned it from me. And we shot the commercial. I did it in front of him. And the commercial never aired. It aired, but the Nickelodeon never aired the thing because of the pandemic.
Oh, God.
But I do have the commercial on my website. It was great. And so I did get to work with Chance the Rapper. I did work with Winona Ryder and Vince Vaughn and a couple other famous people from The Dilemma, because I did some choreography for that. So I've done I've kind of brushed with fame. They didn't really care, but it was fun and I got paid. So that's my experience. And I'm directing Ragtime with Music Theater Works this October, in addition to the mystery show that Liz and I are directing at the Performers School that we don't announce until the first day of class. So that's what's going on. Liz?
Breaking.
Oh, now my turn.
That's your
Chops.
I always feel uncomfortable talking about myself. So I'll just give you like a quick 2-second resume. Okay, so I actually studied opera in college. I went to Deerfield High School and ended up at Northwestern voice performance, and had a voice performance degree there. But when I got out, I did all musicals actually at Northwestern. And when I got out, I decided to like really pursue musical theater because I could dance as well. That's where Stacey and I met, is we did probably, I don't know, 10 or more shows at the Marriott together. So we were in a ton of dressing rooms together. And it's also where I met my husband, because he was a professional dancer. So, and then when I got in my 30s, I kind of missed opera again and singing it. So I auditioned, and I think I did maybe 10 to 15 operas with Chicago Opera Theater, and then auditioned for Lyric Opera and sang with them for 15 years. So I probably did 50 operas over 15 years with them. Started teaching voice 20 years ago, because I just thought that would be a wonderful thing to incorporate, since I was singing professionally opera and musical theater. I thought, oh, these kids need to learn all different mediums and how to sing it, because going to the Marriott, you're not going to sing a song like an aria. You have to totally sing it, same support system, but sing it differently. So I've been teaching at Stevenson High School, but I have a whole studio out of my house for 20 years. Left Lyric Opera 9 years ago, right before we started school, because I wanted my nights free, and I'd been performing for 30 some years. So I wanted my nights free. Stacey and I started the school. Some weird side things I did, that show Glee, they had a thing called the Glee Project, which they had casting people come in. I think it was 4 different cities, one was Chicago, and pick like a person who would actually be on the show. And so I helped cast that. I was one of 3 people who helped cast that as a Chicago casting. And then I also music directed the children of the Wizard of Oz tour, which was through Great Talent. So those are just kind of some side stuff. But I'm still teaching voice. I still sing professionally. And then it's the school. That's my life.
Yeah,
that's our life.
Yeah, and I have to say that Liz is very much responsible, and I'm going to give her credit for my giant coaching career, because I was directing professionally when Liz called me and said, "Do you coach kids?" And I said, "What? Kids? I have kids, but I don't coach them. I coach adults. I work with adults. I direct professionally with adults. I do not coach kids." She said, "Well, why don't you start coaching kids?" I mean, I don't think the conversation went exactly like this, but I, started coaching kids, and then simultaneously we started this company together. But I have, anywhere from, 5 to 15 private students a week. 90% of them are kids, because it started with Liz suggesting it to me about 9 years ago. So, both of us have, and we pass them back and forth, because, my daughter studies with Liz, because I trust her knowledge, and I believe that she teaches safely, and, the voice is very delicate, and you have to be careful. I mean, it's not so delicate that you can't sing, you shouldn't sing, but we're both singers, and you have to teach children very specifically, and I feel that she's very good at that. And so I coach also, and I believe that that the idea came from her calling me and suggesting it, maybe subconsciously. I don't know, but
well, I just, I think it's so important that children learn not just how to sing properly, but how to act a song. And both Stacey and I teach acting the song, but they should have monologue acting. They should have scene study, and that's why I wanted them to study with someone who does that, but what Stacey and I do together when we've auditioned clinics is we teach. They come in with their 32 bar cut, like they're going to audition for something, and we watch them do it and not only give vocal notes, but acting notes. Because I'm sorry, auditioning is a whole separate skill. And you can have an incredible voice and walk in and nothing's going on here. And they'll just look at you and go, do you know what you're singing about?
Yeah, it's a musical. It's not a chorus concert. We're not interested in watching you stand and sing. We're not closing our eyes and listening. We're watching you. So sometimes even watching somebody act, you forget about how it sounds because you're so engaged in what they're feeling. That's what's important. Knowing how they're feeling that, and then the sound comes after it, But if you're just listening, that's why people disengage when you don't care when the person isn't feeling it. You don't realize that until you actually experience it. If you start paying attention to people singing.
Yeah, you have to have a marriage of the two.
Yeah.
And get the kids or adults to realize that it is a skill to learn how to audition, properly. We even teach these young kids how to walk in the room and present themselves, how to announce themselves, how to look confident and smile and show their personality. It's all part of it.
A job interview, business presentation, the whole.
How you
all the same. It's all the same. Yep.
Saying your name. Hi, I'm Stacey Flaster. Nobody wants to actually say, hi, I'm Stacey Flaster, and I'll be singing Mr. Snow from Carousel. Nobody wants to actually say that. They just want to say it fast because, they don't want to act too proud. I don't want to act too this. I don't want to do that. The truth is, the more confident you are, the more people want to hire you or pick you or whatever. Right. It's like, that's the irony of the whole thing.
And it makes them comfortable. Yeah. You don't want, we have auditioned so many people, whether it's adults or in our school children. We've been on the other side. Stacey and I've done, thousands of auditions ourselves as in our career, but then we've been on the other side where the minute someone comes in and feels comfortable, you go, because you want them to work. You want them to fit. So when you come in, you're like, your body just goes, they're not nervous and you're not nervous for them and want to help them.
Yeah. There's nothing better than when a kid comes in and is great. Liz and I received an audition video this week, I'll just say, that was so fantastic that the two of us were we're so excited. We're texting back and forth. Oh my God. It's just because you see a kid that just knows what they're, before they even worked with us, they just know what they're doing and they are proud.
And even if they don't, even if there's just there's this glimmer of, if we worked with that child, they are going to blossom. There's something about just seeing something and you're like, could be very inexperienced and shy. And you just hear something, or you see something, you're like, I want to work with them because I see it.
Yeah, we've seen kids go from, and that, like Liz said, we don't need everybody to be at a level here. That's not interesting. We want kids at every level because basically what happens is when you see the show, people go, oh my gosh, they're so professional. And we say to them, none of them are professional. They just look like they are because they all balance each other out. It's amazing, Pete. We'll get you a ticket.
It's good casting.
Well, yeah, they also
and energy and sweat.
Right.
Yeah, no, we have a lot to do this fall, so we will definitely get you a ticket.
Yeah.
No, outstanding. 2 tickets for Scoo Walker too.
Oh, sure.
Now keep in mind, we promise everybody on every show that we'll be at everything. So take it with a grain of salt. But no, this is cool. This is cool. Parents will get parents and their kids will get a lot out of this, as you already know. Anything I missed? Anything you ladies would like to add?
I don't know. I mean, I
don't know. I'm sorry if we've been talking too much.
I know. I was hoping you weren't like, oh my gosh, these two women are.
They won't stop talking.
Yeah. Is there anything?
You're in the right. I own a mental health business, so I deal with psychologists all the time, and to get them to stop talking, this is nothing.
This is nothing. Okay.
You guys, we're fine.
We just enjoy what we do, and we like the kids, and we just love what we do. We love the kids, and we're proud of it. We're proud of the school, and we're open to, if anybody wants to get in touch with us, they can email info@theperformersschool.com, which has 2 S's in a row, with theperformersschool.com, or they can just go to theperformerschool.com is the website, www.theperformerschool.com. And they can email us for information. They can look up the ensemble or the troupe. And we are currently accepting auditions for Frozen Junior, which is going to be at Ravinia in March. So we're currently accepting auditions for that. Is there anything else I'm missing, Liz?
No, I think the troupe, we can't announce the show yet, but the 4th and 5th graders will be doing their shows in the Skokie Theater the first weekend of December. The following weekend will be the 6th through 8th graders, and they're 2 great shows that we'll be working on. And then, as Stacey said, Frozen Junior is at Ravinia 12th and 13th of March.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
And info@theperformerschool.com. So. And then
we have auditions for the groups. The groups are auditioned in May and June of the school year. So we'll be accepting auditions. But if anybody wants information on these groups, they can email us.
Okay. And I'll put that in the show podcast notes. And if there's anything else you guys want me to add, not a problem.
Wonderful. I mean, this was so nice for you to find us and talk to us.
Well, it's important. It's important. I mean, there's some kids out there that we can help, right?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And we are literally 2 seconds from Lake Forest. I mean, all you have to do is drive over, and then you can go to Highwood, and it's next door to the coffee shop, and they're building some condos. You can buy a condo next door now.
Absolutely love it.
Some ice cream. You can get a taco and call it a day.
Well, speaking of which, can you suggest somebody to come on the show next? It can be from Highwood, whatever, because everybody goes to Highwood to eat and shop and whatnot. So
I don't need. You know what? Can they be a store?
Sure. Love stores.
I mean, because these stores just opened up next to us. I mean, it'd be great to get them on. And
Chicago Mike's and Tala Coffee are wonderful. There's those places. They're wonderful. I'm just trying to think if there's a new place that just opened. And let me think about that, Pete.
So just send me an email later, possibly an email introduction, to say, hey, the guy's not a weirdo. Well, he is a weirdo, but he'll get you on the air.
I don't think you're a weirdo at all. I've been actually going. I've been going to that sushi place in Lake Forest, like literally once a week. The one on Western. I don't know what it's called. It's a beautiful outdoor patio. I'm going there again. With my friend from college tonight. I can't remember what it's called though.
It's the old Burger King, and I've been trying to get those guys on forever. So
it's terrific. That I recommend, and they have great service. It's fabulous. So. I love that sushi place. So I recommend that.
Okay. Well, recommend somebody that somebody so I can actually get them on there.
Okay, fine. I will.
All right. We'll think about that. We'll brainstorm.
Pete.
Ladies, thank you so much for coming on the Lake Forest podcast.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much.
Have a great week.
What do we do? Now?
Yeah, now I just do my ending and then peace out. Ladies, thank you so much for doing this. And I have a mental health business. It's called NeuroNoodle, and we work with athletes, musicians, anybody that's in the peak performance. Check us out. If somebody needs to get some neurofeedback training or a brain map or a scan to deal with anxiousness or depression or whatnot, check us out. Hand in hand, we're helping out each other.
Perfect.
Thanks for listening to the Lake Forest Podcast. Please give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and smash that like button on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Let us know what you'd like to hear about on the upcoming shows. Again, I'm Pete, and I can be reached at pete@lakeforestpodcast.com. The link will be in the podcast notes below. We thank you for listening. And if you really, really like us, please subscribe to us on Patreon. Buy us a beer for $5. What do you say? And you'll get a scoozy. What's a scoozy? Go to lakeforestpodcast.com and find out. You'll be invited to the old school kegger parties. Cue the band.